Welcome back to the Caregiver Minute, where every weekday family and professional caregivers gather to refine their skills, gain inspiration, and prepare to serve. One of the most challenging things that we face personally and when we're caring for other people is when we get locked into a fight or flight response, or when they're having that kind of an anxiety and stress response. I want to talk to you about two different parts of the nervous system that are involved in those situations: the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. Now, the sympathetic nervous system gives us our fight or flight response. The parasympathetic is rest and digest. It's when things are relaxed and calmed. And unfortunately, in our busy modern world, a lot of us live in a state of sympathetic dominance. Our fight or flight response is constantly being triggered. And when someone is living with dementia or they're having mental health challenges, often there is a lot of sympathetic dominance. Part of conquering that are all the things that we talk about here regularly on the Caregiver Minute about helping the brain function better, creating the conditions where the brain can work in an optimal state. But there comes a point where you also have to exercise the muscle, so to speak. If you needed to have a stronger bicep, and I told you to go to the gym and run on the treadmill for 45 minutes every day, you'd think I was crazy, because you know that there's no way you can build a bicep by running on a treadmill. You have to actually exercise the bicep. When it comes to getting better at dealing with stress and anxiety and some of the sympathetic nervous system responses that are common to all human beings, and helping others benefit as well, we have to learn how to exercise the right muscle. What kinds of things can we do to give more control to the parasympathetic nervous system that allows us to calm things down, to rest, to digest, instead of just being in a constant state of stress? There are a lot of things that we can do. Some of them I've talked about before. Boxed breathing is a really effective strategy. This is when you breathe in for 4 to 6 counts, and then hold it for 4 to 6 counts, and then exhale for 4 to 6 counts, and then hold it. So think of a box with equal sides. You're spending an equal amount of time breathing in, holding, breathing out, and holding. And you do that over and over for a few minutes. This is actually the technique that Navy SEALs use to calm down their sympathetic nervous system when they're in the heat of the moment, and they've got to be able to be really still and fire off a shot, or think clearly and decide what to do in the intense moment that they're in. Practicing that gives us a lot of control, and we can actually bring people together even in long-term care settings, and we can sit with them and practice box breathing. It's kind of a meditative practice. Another thing we can do to calm down that sympathetic dominant kind of response is loud singing, because those vocal cord vibrations stimulate the vagus nerve. And when we stimulate the vagus nerve, it really helps with rest and digest and helping the parasympathetic nervous system fire up more fully. Think of what that means in a skilled nursing or an assisted living setting, or if you're serving someone in the home. For people who love music, we can get them singing, and that actually has benefits to the nervous system, and it helps them be more calm. Not everybody likes to sing, though, and loud humming will actually make a difference in the same way. Sometimes we get further when we stack interventions. This means that we combine techniques so that we get even more benefit at the same time. What if we were to combine humming with box breathing? All you would do is breathe in for 6 counts, hold for 6 counts, and then on the exhale, make sure that you're humming really loudly. That's how you let out the air. And in doing so, you're stimulating the vagus nerve. Another technique that we've talked about previously on the Caregiver Minute is cold exposure. When you take a cold shower, or even if you splash cold water on your face, that can stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system. It also stimulates the immune system. I actually take a cold shower every day, and I know it sounds miserable. I avoided doing it for years, until Randy, our chief medical officer here to Mind for All Seasons, had a cold plunge, and he kept challenging me, saying, "Eric, you got to try this out." And I finally thought, okay, I will do cold showers for 1 week. And I felt so good after the end of that week. I've not stopped. I've taken an ice cold shower every day for over a year because when I step into that cold, there's an initial shock, but then my body just has learned to calm everything right down. It's like training the limbic brain, training the feeling part of the brain, learning how to calm that sympathetic nervous system very quickly. And when I have a stressful moment in my day and I feel my heart rate go up and I start breathing a little bit faster, I just imagine myself stepping into that ice cold shower and bam, it just calms right down. Now, I'm not suggesting that we should take people that we're serving, especially those living with dementia who might not understand, and put them into a cold shower. I think that's probably a bad idea. But it's something that we can do ourselves to help calm down our nervous system. In fact, we can stack the other things that we've talked about with a cold exposure. What if you stepped into an ice cold shower and part of how you calmed yourself down was with box breathing, and on the exhale, you were humming? Now, your spouse or significant other might think you're kind of crazy that you're humming in the shower and you're taking a freezing cold shower. But over time, as you develop greater control over that fight or flight response through practicing and exercising your parasympathetic nervous system, they might not think you're quite so crazy. Now, I realize that we can't apply all of these things with everyone that we serve, but I wanted to share these techniques with you so that you could start experimenting in your own life and maybe even trying some things with people that you're serving. I think there's things that we can do with individuals as well as in groups that make it possible for people to practice training, calming their nervous system down, and not living in a constant state of fight or flight. Well, I hope this makes a difference for you and the people that you serve, and I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow for another episode of the Caregiver Minute.